first of all, what year were you born? I had to tell this too.
1925.
1925. And where were you born?
I was born in Prescott, Kansas, in Lynn County.
Okay. And what is your full name?
Doris Francis Hoffman Hall.
Good, good. All right. And Burdell, what year were you born?
1924.
1924. And where were you born?
Mackinac, Illinois.
Oh.
Garden Spot of Tazewell County.
Okay, and tell us your full name.
Harold Burdell Hall.
Good. And where did Burdell come from?
Oh, it was the name of my dad's commander in World War I.
Is that right?
But he spelled Burdell B-U-R-D-E-L-L-E.
Oh.
And my folks dropped the last E because they thought maybe I would be called Burdelli.
Yes. Yeah, and that would be, yeah.
That would be tragic.
Yeah.
So I went by my middle name, well, all through my life until I got in the Army.
And what'd they call you there?
Well, I had to go back to my first name. I went up to the paymaster the first pay period, gave him my name, my serial number, and he looked at me and he says, I don't have a Burdell Hall on my list, soldier. Go to the back of the line and think about who you are.
Oh.
So I went back and I had a buddy back there who knew my name. He says, you better tell him you're Harold Hall. So I did. And I was Harold Hall from then on.
Oh my.
All my friends at Bradley knew me as Harold. When I got my job at the Y in Joliet, I was Harold. All my friends in Joliet know me as Harold Hall. And we came back here to teach, in 1950. I was still Harold Hall, but we had a minister at the Methodist Church whose name was Harold E. Hall. And they were doing all their bookkeeping by hand, so 1 month I would be overdrawn, the other month he would be overdrawn.
Oh no.
So they finally called us both in, and Fritz Ruling sat us down and talked to us. He says, now look, he says, you've been Burdell for a long time. Why don't you go back and be Burdell again? And I says, well, that'd be fine with me. And so he got to be Harold and I got to be H. Burdell again. So that's caused me nothing but trouble since.
I bet. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Well, Doris, your nickname, I've never known your real name for not very long. So tell me.
It could be a long story and it could be short. I don't know why they ever bothered to name us in the first place. I had 4 in the family, brothers and sisters.
Okay.
We all ended up with nicknames, every one of us, and they all started with B. Somebody told me you were a second-class family.
Oh.
That's why you were all B's.
Oh. No, that's no
so
good.
I thought, I don't like that.
Well, now I want the long story, because what is your nickname?
My nickname it started out to be Betsy.
Betsy.
Betsy Jane. And I had a brother that could not pronounce it. It was Botsy. And it got shortened to Bots.
Okay.
So
and how do you spell, when you think bots, how do you spell that?
B-O-T-T-S.
That's how I would have guessed
see,
too.
it had a Y. It was Betsy.
Yeah.
But it came Botsy.
Yeah. Well, now, how did you get from Kansas to...
My dad was a Mackinac boy to begin with.
Okay.
And his dad bought the farm in Kansas that we had.
Okay.
And so he put them out there. My dad would say because he couldn't get along with them.
Oh, no.
Because they were grown. They thought they were grown men. And he still thought they were boys. So he
Boys.
was ordering them around
Sure.
German background.
Yeah.
And
Not
so it didn't
surprising.
work. So he put them out where he didn't have to bother
With them anymore.
That's my dad's story.
So when did you come back to this area?
I
How
was
old were
13
you?
and
You were
39.
you were 39?
No, I
You
was
were
13.
Oh, it was in
And
39.
the year was 39.
Okay. So did the farm still was okay in Kansas, or did it get in the Dust Bowl problem?
When did it? It sold in.
It sold, and you came back.
Yes.
Were you living in Mackinac?
Yes, we lived on the home place in Mackinac.
Okay.
That's where we moved.
Okay.
Dad and his brother bought the place.
Okay.
When they sold the place in Kansas, they settled.
That
That's
was
when
it.
They ended there.
So did you meet because you were both Mackinac? Were you living in Mackinac then?
Yes.
I knew him. My sis already knew him because she was there ahead of time,
Okay.
which is another story. But anyway, she was working in Peoria, or going to school in Peoria, wasn't
Yeah.
she? Then, before she started working. So she knew him riding the interurban.
Oh, and I
Yeah,
want to hear about
train.
that.
So she knew who he was and the whole rigmarole. So I knew who he was, and I saw him walking across the grade school yard at the time, so I knew who he was.
Okay.
And he was also a cheerleader.
For the high school?
Yeah.
Yeah,
And were you a gymnast at that time? Were you handsprings and
Yeah.
but he was a cheerleader in Morton, so they had moved to Morton.
Oh,
from
you
Mackinac.
had?
He was in Mackinac.
Okay.
But he's, by having lost his dad early, they moved to Morton.
Yeah,
So he was going to Morton. Go ahead, you do better at that than I am.
yeah, my dad died when I was a freshman in high school.
Oh, I never knew that.
Yeah, and he worked on the interurban, and so I had a pass that I could ride it anytime, anywhere, and so I proceeded to use my pass, and they let me off right at the street where I lived in Morton with
Oh.
my aunt and uncle. So we got to know each other basically on that train. And it's kind of interesting. She was always bothered by an old man in Mackinac who was kind of, well, he was undesirable.
Yeah.
Well, what he would do was sit down with me, and because I was a very shy little girl then, he would keep getting a little closer.
Poke ya.
And of course, I was on the window side. I was just about as far as I could go. And it
Oh.
just tormented the whole Jupiter out of me. And what really irritated me then, when his wife rode the train, which she did often, he ignored me like the plague. You don't think I didn't have a bad...
Yeah. That was bad.
So-
So what happened? Did you step in?
Oh, you bet. She
He was-
saved the
He
seat
said
for
he
me.
saved, I
She
saved
put
it
her
for him.
purse and her coat in the seat next to her
That's
and
great.
saved that seat for me. And when
Yeah.
I got
Yeah,
on in
yeah,
Morton, it was available, and we sat together all the way to Peoria.
And you were her protector.
Yes.
That's
oh, yeah.
great. Oh.
That's not really the way it was. I can't change him.
So you were working in Peoria
Yeah, I worked.
then? And how about you? You were going to
I was
Bradley?
going to Bradley.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And what were you doing in Peoria?
I worked at B&M, and I'm sure you don't know where.
I don't know what B&M
Well, you
was.
know where Black and Cool was?
Yes.
Okay, it was catty-cornered on the next corner.
And what kind of a store or shop was it?
Exclusive.
Clothing store.
Clothing.
It was a department store, but it was,
Really high end.
yeah, really.
Wow.
But by graduating, I guess, what I did, and there was everybody out looking for a job,
Sure.
my first job was at Hire Walkers, and I think you all know where that is.
I do.
Well, I lasted there 6 months
Oh,
because I was just crushed when they let me go because I didn't know why till later. But I had a friend that I worked with that we were really pretty close, so she let me know that I had replaced someone that had gone to be with her husband that was in service. That was World War II.
oh, sure.
And so when he went overseas, she came back and she got her job back, and I got let out, which I didn't know at the time.
Was no fault of yours.
I cried on the way home.
I
could believe it,
bet you
because I had
did.
no idea why I was let go.
Wow.
But I did find out, so then it was a little easier to take.
Yeah.
But then I got the job at B&M, and I was there until we were married.
Wonderful. That's great. So what did you study at Bradley?
I studied sociology.
So
I have my bachelor's degree in sociology.
Very good. Very good. What did you like about sociology?
I really don't know.
You are a real people person. I bet that's.
Yeah. And it was just sort of a place to, well, squeeze into.
Sure.
I had no idea really what I wanted to do, and there weren't many jobs available for sociologists.
Right.
So I just kind of rambled right after graduation. But I was lucky to get a job in Joliet at the YMCA.
Oh, what did you do at the YMCA in Joliet?
First I was assistant boys secretary, and then I was young adult secretary. And I did much of the programming for the young adults. And that was, well, that took care of the first 2 years. We were married in August of 1948, the year I
Okay.
graduated from Bradley.
Okay.
And from then on, things just started happening faster and faster.
Sure.
And I worked hard at the Y. We spent many hours there.
Yeah.
And well, it wasn't a nervous breakdown, but I had a difficult time. And they let me come back home for, what was it,
3 months.
3 months?
Mm-hmm.
And after the 3 months, I decided that Joliet wasn't the place for me.
Mm.
So on my first vacation, I started looking for a job
Good.
all around Peoria, every place. And no place was hiring. I got back to Joliet, dejected and sad. But I walked in the door of our apartment and my telephone was ringing. And it was Warren Grundy.
Oh, Warren Grundy.
And he says, "I hear you're looking for a job." I said, "Yes, I am." He says, "Well, I have a 6th grade open that I need a teacher for. Would you take it?" And I said, "Well, Warren, I don't have any hours in education." I said, "I have 1 hour in education, and that's all." "Don't worry about that." He says, "I'll get you an emergency certificate. It'll be good for a year,
Isn't that wild?
and you go back to school and pick up your hours." And that's what we did. I started right then
Wonderful.
with 1 hour of education. I went back to school. Well, in fact, I was in classes the rest of my life.
I bet you were.
But I finally got my certificate, and everything worked out fine and dandy. I taught for 30 years, and
For
first
30
years
years.
of my life.
Oh, wonderful.
I was just going to add, don't ever believe that miracles don't happen,
It's true.
because that was a miracle.
Yeah, it
It
was.
really,
That
you
was
know,
the
we were
Lord.
both just elated.
I bet. And then did you get a job when he came back, when you guys came
No, I
back?
had little ones.
Yeah, you
I
had,
had one little one then, and then another one, and so I didn't go to work.
tell us about your children.
2 boys.
Boys, all right. And which one came first?
Karis.
Karis is the
Karis
oldest
is
one.
the oldest.
Okay.
And then 3 and a half years later was Chuck.
Okay, so tell me about Karis's name, because this is another
they can tell you
interesting
that.
story.
Well, Karis was named for one of my Army buddies,
Okay.
and his name was Julius Karis from
Oh.
Detroit, Michigan. And we didn't want to call our son
No.
Julius.
No, we didn't.
We just-
No, we didn't.
but we liked Karis.
Yeah.
And so he became Karis. And another of my Army buddies was Alan Gronemeyer from Quincy, and his middle name is Alan. So
That's-
he's Karis Allen Hall,
That's great.
named from two of my military buddies.
Sure. Now, you went back to work
Yeah,
in the publishing company.
first, yeah,
Yeah, you
part
said.
time, and actually they let me do payroll, and I did it at home. So I
That's-
did a lot of the work at home.
So you could be home with the kids.
Yeah, so
That's
they
really
were very
good.
good to me.
Oh, that's very good. That's very good.
And where did I go? I don't even-
Well, you went to Goodyear in
Oh,
Peoria.
yes, Goodyear. Almost forgot Goodyear. I thought, well, I could get something better. So I went to Peoria and I got this job at Goodyear. And I lasted, it wasn't a year, but it was about 9 months, I think. And it was back and forth on the interurban.
Yeah, I
And
wondered.
they
about
did
that.
ask me to stay, but I said it was just too uphill with the family and all that I didn't want to go
Sure.
to Peoria.
I don't blame
So
you.
then I ended up back at Tazewell, didn't I? Gosh.
Well, I know. A life,
Many long
you know, a
years ago.
life. Yeah, it's very, very good. I want to know a little bit about what service were you in World War II? Because you were telling us about your buddies. So what
I was in the 29th Division.
of the
And-
Navy, the Army?
The Army,
The Army.
yeah.
Okay.
And I was with the 175th Regiment of the 29th. And my regiment dates back to the Revolutionary War.
Wow.
So I have had many, many interesting experiences.
I bet.
I belong to the 29th Division Association, and I get their monthly newsletter, so I'm still a 29er.
That's great. Good for you. And where did they send you?
I was in Europe.
Okay.
I went to Europe. Well, in fact, I landed on Omaha Beach, D+84, in
Is-
September of 1944.
Wow.
And by then they had gotten into the peninsula and were, well, through St. Lo and headed toward Brest. So that's where I picked them up. And I went with them into Brest, and we captured the German submarine pens in Brest.
My goodness.
And that was an experience.
Yeah, I bet it was. Wow. Were you, what was your job? Were you a soldier that carried a gun and,
Oh yeah, I was a foot soldier. I was, I finally earned the rank of sergeant,
for you?
so that gave me a little more money, and
Yeah. Wow. Now, was that before you were married? Because you were married in 48.
yeah.
And you were not married when you were in the Army.
No,
No.
I
Yeah.
went in the Army in 43,
Okay.
so 44 and 45.
In fact, when he came back, I'm not sure he remembers, but I do. I was at a ball game with a friend
Uh-huh.
that I had. Actually, we had gone to Colorado and back, even on a trip together, and she knew him, and of course they go way back. Their dad worked for the interurban, and so they sat. I was with her, so he sat on the other side of her, and they carried on a conversation all the time, and I sat there. I think he finally reached over and said something that he knew my brother which he did.
Yeah.
They were in the same class in school. And that's
The first that you
That was the-
reconnected.
beginning.
That was the beginning. Well, good for
But
you.
it wasn't a very good
It wasn't a
beginning.
very good beginning, no.
You know, I think that often happens sometimes. Oh my goodness, my
Yeah,
goodness. Okay,
I was a show-off.
you were.
And I still am.
We love people like you, absolutely. So now to get back to your teaching, because I do want to know a little bit more about that. Was it one grade school when you went?
Yes, we only had the one grade school. We call it Morton Grade School.
But it was
It's
Jefferson building,
School, yeah.
right?
Jefferson, and I taught 5 years at Jefferson, and then I went to the junior high and taught social studies for another 5 years,
Wow.
and then I went to the senior high and taught American history, economics, and political science for 20 years, and I was head of the department for most of that time.
Marvelous.
But the thing that really, I don't know how to describe it, but when I made the transition from one to the other, I had students that I followed. I had them in 6th grade, I had them in junior high school, and then I had them in high school. And so they knew me like a book.
I bet.
And Mike Aronoff and his wife, Dr. Aronoff's son, he was working in the Kinsey Institute in Indianapolis, and I got a scholarship for the summer to the University of Indiana, and that's where Mike and Sharon lived. And so I called them when I got there and see if I couldn't go out and visit for a while. Oh, they'd be glad to have me. And they had a pair of twins, a boy and a girl, 9 years old. So I got out and I knocked on their door, and the twins answered the door. And I said, is this where Mike Aronoff lives? Yeah. Nothing else. Just stared at me. And I said, well, is he home? Yes. And still nothing. About that time, Karen came around the corner. She said, these kids have been dying to meet you. They can't believe we had you so many times as a teacher. And I had the most fun that night with those kids. It was delightful.
That's great. That is wonderful. Good, good, good. So you went from the grade school, the 6th grade, to the junior high, and then to the high school. Did you have a preference of which age, or did you just like kids of all ages?
I just liked everybody.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've heard a story that you used to do backflips off your desk
I
every
did.
once in a while. That's
I
true.
did a lot of stupid things.
He entertained them.
But I bet they love that.
I used to do handsprings down the length of the gym.
That's great. That's great. Well, I've been in the library when people have come up to you and said, "Oh, Mr. Hall, and I remember you," and hug you and thank
I
you.
still get that in grocery stores. I'll be talking to someone, and all of a sudden, around the aisle comes one of my former students. "Oh, Mr. Hall, I knew your voice." And by now, you know, I'm not very good at remembering faces, so my first comment is, "Okay, who am I talking to?"
Good.
And we get along fine.
That's great. That's really
And I get so many notices and comments from them on eBay or on
Facebook.
Facebook, yeah.
Yeah. Good. Good. So you're up to date. You're doing Facebook.
Oh yes.
You guys are tech people. Yeah.
Yes.
That's great. Great. Well, we knew that you were very talented because you've written books, you two together.
Yeah.
So why don't you tell us, well, first of all, were both of you connected with the Morton Pottery? Because your books are about the Morton Pottery.
He was.
I was. I worked at the Cliftwood.
At the Cliftwood
And,
Pottery. And how old were you when you did that?
I was a senior in high school.
Okay, and how did you go get the job, or?
No, I lived next door to John Rapp,
Okay,
who was one of the owners. There were 4 brothers who owned the pottery then. John and Carl and
Ted.
oh yeah, Ted and
no, well anyway, there were 4 of them,
Oh.
and their last name was Rapp,
their last name was Rapp.
and they had the Cliftwood.
Well, they had the Cliftwood with their dad.
Okay,
And he died in 1938, and they continued with the pottery, but they renamed it. After he died, they renamed it the Midwest Pottery.
okay,
So I started at the Cliftwood, wound up at the Midwest, and I was drafted while I was working at the Midwest.
okay,
And within a year after I was in the service, the pottery burned totally to the ground.
oh
So,
my, did they figure out ever what happened?
No, but
Well, with kilns,
yeah, it's just, you know, sparks flew everywhere and you never knew what was going to, you know.
sure,
But,
what did you do at the pottery?
I glazed.
Okay,
I
tell us what glazing is.
Well, glazing is putting the
Paint, slip,
well, no, it's dipping the greenware into a bucket of
Clear, isn't it?
well,
kind of like paint?
it's more like thick milk.
Okay,
It's all about the same color. You can't tell the colors from the raw product.
okay.
You don't see them until they are fired and baked, and then the color comes out.
Okay.
So I worked in that position for, well, all the time I was at the pottery.
Okay. I remember a story that you told me about a figure that they had done, and you had to paint it black, and you thought you were ruining it. But when it got fired, it turned out to be gold.
Yeah,
Is that true?
that's true.
Wow.
Yeah,
Wow.
You were always wondering, you know, what was going to happen to us.
Sure.
But
Well, tell me a little bit about, there was the guy who designed, first of all, the Cliftwood made what kind of things? Decorative?
They made art pottery primarily.
Okay,
Vases and lamps and figurines.
okay. And who made those figures? Who designed those figures? Was it Nig?
No, Nig was at the Morton Pottery Company.
Okay,
So,
but they had an artist.
yeah. Now I cannot recall his name.
That's
Ted.
No, it wasn't Ted.
I don't know that.
not a problem. What did he do? Did he draw them first? Because I'm interested in the process, really. Did he draw them or did he model
No,
them?
He modeled them.
And then they would make
And
a
then
mold
They would
for.
make a mold from his model.
Okay.
Yeah.
And where did they get the clay, Burdell? Do you know?
Right there at the site of the pottery. You know where the well, you know where Affiliated was.
Yes.
Apostolic Cemetery.
Yes.
Well, they were across there, and that whole area back in there. There's houses now to the west side.
Uh huh.
That was, well, we called it the Grundlock, the ground hole, and that was
Oh.
where they dug the pottery. And so it became a pond, and we used to skate there in the wintertime. We'd go down and skate on the pottery pond in the wintertime.
Oh my goodness. But did they still dig They used machines, did
Yeah.
they, to scoop up the clay even under the water?
1940. They ran out of clay in 1940, and they had to start shipping it in from Indiana.
Oh my goodness.
That was a sharp period of distinction because the Morton clay always fired out sort of golden, light tan, and the imported clay was always white when it was burned.
Oh my.
So you can look at the bottom of a piece and know that it was made before 1950 or after 1950 by seeing the bottom.
By
of
the
it.
color of that. Wow. That's you. That's really great.
Yeah.
That's great. So when did you get the idea? Well, wait a minute first. Let me back up. You were drafted when you were working for Midwest because you had worked for Cliftwood and then you went to Midwest and you were drafted. When you came back from the Army, then you got married.
Well, no, I started at Bradley.
Oh, that was
I was able to go to Bradley on the GI Bill of Rights.
okay.
So I didn't have to pay for my last 3 years of college.
Hallelujah.
The government gave it to me.
That is wonderful.
And I got paid a check for each month for going to college.
Great.
So I was blessed.
Great. Wow. That's terrific. And where were you living when you were going to Bradley?
Here in Morton
With
my mother.
your mom?
Yeah.
Okay.
We had an apartment on Adams Street, on East Adams.
Okay. All right. Good. And you and Bots were courting at that time?
Well,
Till
toward the end,
Yeah.
that's when she started, you know,
Hanging around?
hanging around and saving,
both rode
saving
the
seats
Urban.
for me. And
we both
Oh.
rode that Urban.
Yes.
He went to Morton and I went to Peoria. So
Yes.
we sort of,
I would loan her my books to read. And
yeah.
this friend of hers that she was telling you about
Yes.
saw one of my books one time. She went to the restroom and left it on the
I was
bench.
sitting with her.
And when she got back, Ida says to her, "Where did you get Burdell Hall's book?"
What would you have said? I said, I don't know, I guess. I think I must have said, he loaned it to me. I hope. That's what I said. I don't know. I was so gone. I was very shy.
I bet. Oh, bless your heart.
Yeah, I had to shake her around a lot to get her straight.
We're 6 years old.
When I was 6 years old, my mother and the station agent's wife took me on the route. We did the complete route on that map. It took us all day. We left Mackinac at 6 o'clock in the morning, and we didn't get back until almost midnight.
Oh my
But
goodness.
we went from Peoria to Springfield to St. Louis, and then back up to Clinton and Danville, and the whole route back to Bloomington and Mackinac.
Oh
And
my.
it took us almost a full day to make that trip.
Wow.
And I remember it like yesterday. I was thrilled to death.
I bet. Oh, that's great. But your father, you said, was a worker.
Yeah, he was a lineman for it.
What does a lineman
A
do?
lineman takes care of the electrical line that was attached.
Is that how they got their power?
They got their power. They had an area like this that stood, and this was looped onto the wire.
And it got
And
electricity.
They got electricity from that. And
I
that's-
rode this to Peoria to work. And at one time something happened and we were stuck in East Peoria
Oh yeah, it
for
would.
about an hour before I got to work one day.
It would.
Oh my
That only
goodness.
happened once.
Wow.
It would slip off the line. And
But they had trouble getting it back for some reason.
And they had much difficulty because I had to get
but
up on top of
sometimes
the train
it
and
did, and
put
they
it back
can
up.
fix it, like right now. but that one took time.
Sure.
And that was,
It was a bad day, I remember.
My dad was responsible for
Weather-wise.
taking care of that line, so it didn't cause any troubles.
Okay.
And,
Did he have to travel around to do
yes,
that?
Yes.
He would drive to do it?
They had, what did we call it?
Oh, they were little
It was a little tiny thing that
go-kart.
like a go-kart, but it was on 4 wheels and it ran on the tracks.
Okay.
And they went all
Yeah.
over. My dad's district was from Peoria to Springfield to Bloomington.
Oh my.
So he had carried out that whole area.
Wow. And he had to patrol that in all kinds of weather.
Yeah, all kinds. Yeah.
I'm trying to think how that would have been in the winter. It would have been really
Terrible.
Yeah, because
really
that was
bad.
not a closed car he would
No.
ride in.
No.
Oh my goodness. Well, tell us about what the real name of this was, because I'm looking at it. It says ITC Illinois Terminal. What does that mean?
Illinois
Terminal.
Terminal Railroad System.
Okay.
What'd you say?
Illinois Terminal Railroad
Yeah.
System.
That's good.
Yeah.
That's good. And tell us about this particular car.
Oh, I got that for my first birthday from my dad. And I rode on that train. I sat here and I rode it all over
The house.
on the sidewalks too. And when my cousins came, they rode on the train. And when my boys came, they rode on the train. And by the time that we were mostly grown, the train had it.
I bet.
But I had a cousin who worked in the car barns in St. Louis. And he came one time and I showed him my train. And it was in sad condition. He says, "Let me take that down to the shop and repaint it for you." So this is the repaint job that my cousin did in the original car barns at St. Louis.
That's wonderful. Now, if you got this when you were 1 and you are now,
94.
so this is 93 years old. This car is 93 years
Yes,
old.
it is.
But it was painted in the terminal barns
Yeah.
down in St. Louis.
Yeah.
Well, we are so fortunate to have that in the Morton Library.
Oh, you bet.
That's a real
Do you have
history.
any idea what year that was that it was painted?
No, I really
can't-
don't.
I'm-
We were living on Illinois Street,
Yeah.
but I
Okay.
have no idea what it was.
Yeah. Well, you were living in Morton
Yeah.
Yes.
by then.
Right.
So, well, thank you. But the interurban was such a big part of your life because
Oh, yeah.
you courted on the interurban.
Yeah.
Well, and
She
And you
caught
wrote-
me.
She caught you.
Yes, she did.
And you went to Bradley on the interurban.
Yeah.
And you went to work on the interurban.
Right.
So where was the interurban station in Morton? Was there just one?
Just one. It's where the First National Bank is now.
Okay.
it actually stopped 3 places. So
Well,
if there were somebody
Yeah.
there to,
it would stop out at the east edge of town. I lived on the corner of Adams and
what was it?
5th Street, I think it was.
Okay.
And they would let me off the train there on that corner.
And you lived with your mom at that time?
Yeah.
Okay.
And then they would stop at the station. And then they would stop at the railroad tracks in the old Pottery, the Morton Pottery Company.
And where was that?
That was right at the tracks on the east-west side of town. The railroad tracks.
Okay. Sort of where this library is?
Well, a little farther to the west.
West.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
And then they would stop out at the Veterans, well, it's Veterans Road now.
Oh, yeah.
But that was another stop. I mean, they'd make 4 stops in the Morton area if they had passengers that wanted to get off.
And there was some other place out in there, but
Oh,
I
yeah,
don't
there were
remember
several.
the name of
I
it.
mean, you could tell them where you wanted off, and they usually would stop pretty
It's not any
close.
place.
That is so nice.
Yeah,
I bet everybody on the train kind of knew each other too.
well, sure.
Yeah,
Oh.
and saved seats.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's great. That's great. When did that stop and why did it stop? Do you know?
Yeah, it stopped. Well, Chuck was what?
Was the truck we took?
Yeah, Chuck took the last ride on it,
He
and
couldn't have been more than
he was
2 or
I
3,
think
so it would have
he
been
was 3 years old.
55, probably, about there.
Yeah.
Okay. And why did it quit?
It was outdated.
Automobiles took over.
Automobiles had taken over and buses had taken over, and they were losing business, and so they just folded.
Oh my. That must have been a sad day
Yeah, it was.
especially for your family.
Oh, for a number of people.
Yeah.
Yeah,
A lot
Yeah.
of people depended on it.
yeah.
Yeah.
A number of people, anyway.
Yeah. For rides into Peoria.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. That's
It's
a
progress.
it is progress and was a wonderful thing when it
Yeah.
was going.
They
Yes,
they
yes,
also
it was.
had what they called a line car.
What's that?
Well, that was a work car. It was not as big as the
Railroad.
but it was had compartments for tools and a place to work. And a lot of times, if I missed my train back to Morton from Mackinac, the line crew would take me home.
Oh,
So I had a special treat.
a relationship.
Yeah, all those guys knew me. They took care of me.
And they knew your dad
Yeah.
and your mom, I'm
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah.
Oh, what was your mother and father's name?
My dad was Charles Edward Hall,
And your
and
mom?
our Chuck was named after him.
Sure.
And my mother's name was Hyla May Hall.
How do you spell that?
Hyla May Lauer Hall. Hyla,
Huh.
and then M-A-E,
Okay.
and Lauer was L-O-W-E-R.
Okay. Wow. Nice. Nice. That's great. That's great. Well, let's get back to the pottery part because when we kind of had the little intermission there, I wanted to start talking to you about your books about the Morton Pottery because you worked at the Morton Pottery.
Now it's Morton Pottery.
I'm sorry, at the Cliftwood
At the
and then the
Cliftwood and the
Midwest,
Midwest, yeah.
Pottery. So we might want to talk about that. There were several editions, several
Well,
iterations of.
There were several locations, but the potteries were separate, and we had 6 potteries in Morton.
Okay, did the same people own them?
No, they varied.
If we want to know about it, we should buy your book.
Oh yeah. This is the location of all the potteries.
Okay, so all around Morton, and you worked at the last 2.
At the last 2, the Cliftwood and the Midwest.
The Cliftwood and the Midwest potteries. So when you were working and you were dipping the pieces that the artist had modeled and then made molds of, did you ever think you'd write a book about the
I have
pottery?
No idea, no.
Did you start collecting when you guys got married or when you were earlier? What? Tell me about
I
that.
started collecting while I worked.
Okay. And did you have to buy it or did they let you take it because you worked there?
Oh, I bought most of it. But I stole one piece.
Uh-oh.
Anything that was damaged, if it had a crack or a flaw on it, we had to take it to the trash barrel and break it.
Oh,
with
because,
it. And in 1943, they were making a statue of a nude woman. She was holding seaweed behind her. And that was a risque thing for that time.
yeah.
And I took one out of the mold, out of the kiln, and she had a crack across her wrist. And I just thought, I cannot break her. So my coat was hanging on the coat rack on the way to the trash barrel. So I just tied a knot in the sleeve of my coat and stuck her down in my coat and took her home with me that night. And then I painted her. I painted her hair yellow, and I just dolled her up. I painted the seaweed
He was always
green,
busy.
and I painted the water blue, and the dolphins around it were gray.
Oh, my.
Oh, and I had that, and that was my wife's favorite piece of
Oh,
pottery when we were married.
Loved it.
She wouldn't let me put it out.
I bet
She
you
wouldn't
would.
let me show it.
We had a few conversations on that nude.
Yes, yes. And I always said Uncle Matt Rapp would turn over in his grave if he knew they made that feature.
That's true.
Yeah, because that was a no-no.
Yeah,
But she's a beautiful thing. She
I
really
bet.
is.
I bet she was. Wow. Was the artist usually a Rapp, of the Rapp family? The artist that was forming the figurines that were used for the molds?
Nig Rapp did for the Morton Pottery.
Okay.
And I still can't think of the...
Well, was he a Rapp boy?
Yes, he was a Rapp.
Okay, so they tried to use the local.
Oh yeah, they
and-
used their that was
the
all
fam-
family.
it was all
All
family.
family, yeah.
Okay, very good. Very good. So you started collecting
Yeah?
the Morton pottery. Did they always mark
No, very seldom.
how, yeah, whoa.
A lot of times they used paper labels.
Oh,
And you know, when people bought them, the first thing they'd do is take the paper labels off.
sure.
So we've shown paper labels in our books that we were able to collect.
Okay.
And but no, most of it is not marked at all.
I remember. Yeah. So when you got married, did you start collecting? Did you kind of watch for things in sales and
When did we start?
No, not really.
That was later.
It was later, probably when the boys were in high school and junior high.
okay,
That's when we really started to
collect?
work seriously on it.
Sure. Well, we love your collection and we love the fact that you've written these two books. Did people ask you to write these two books?
No. When I retired in 1980
From teaching.
from teaching, this was my first project, this book.
You want to hold it up just in front of you and show them what it looks like?
This was our...
Morton Pottery.
No,
Whoops.
this was our first
This
book.
was your first book.
This was our first book.
Morton Pottery's 99 Years
Yeah.
by Doris and Burdell Hall.
Yeah.
But we
And,
had it done.
We had it done in
Somewhere out east. Ohio?
no, it was in Missouri.
Ah,
And we had a friend who was doing publishing,
oh,
and she helped us with this book. She and her daughter.
good.
But we started out with more like that size. And this is what it got down to, because that's, since we painted ourselves,
Sure.
that's what we could afford,
Sure,
or thought we could.
sure. Great.
And
So
we
that's
had-
why it turned out to be small.
And we had 200 copies of this one.
Published.
Yeah.
Okay.
And today, this book on eBay is bringing unreasonable prices.
Wow.
Anywhere from Well, from $15 to $1,000.
Wow.
We have printouts from several bookstores in the West Coast
Wow.
where it's up there in the thousands,
Wow. That's,
which is ridiculous.
well, no, because it's very, very valuable. You really have become experts about pottery, about the Morton pottery.
Yeah.
And that's good. Do you want to tell us why you did a volume 2? Did you, because the pottery was still producing, or
Well, we
you,
had 1,000 of these done,
We only had 1,000.
which we didn't, we even laughed and said we'd probably end up with,
We thought we'd never sell them.
no, we never had any
We had
idea we'd
no
sell
idea that
1,000.
they would be saleable.
So when you did, then it became more realistic to make a bigger book.
sure.
And then we were able to get a publisher, so we didn't have to look out the money.
That's good. And that was
That's the
out
reason
east,
it
I
turned
think.
out to be a bigger
That was
book and in color, which we'd hoped this one
Yeah,
would be.
yeah,
But-
but not.
When you go find out prices,
We
you
couldn't
find out
afford
what you can do.
We couldn't
Yeah.
afford
Can't
color.
do.
No, but that's wonderful. I know lots and lots of people come into the library and use these books.
Is that right?
And because they are not available in print, then
Yeah,
they really are grateful for
that's
this.
great.
Yeah.
That's great.
So did you do some of the typing, or how did that work on the first one? How did you prepare it so the person in Missouri
Did you
could?
do the typing or you did
No.
most?
You did the typing.
Who did?
You did.
I did. I don't remember.
I thought maybe it was you, Bots. I thought maybe it was you. Yeah. But now who did the pictures?
I did.
Good
Look
for
at it.
you. Good for you. Nice pictures too. Those are great. Those are really great. Well, now I know that you said that they used paper labels and they didn't actually mark the pieces as Morton pottery.
Sometimes they did.
Okay.
Uh,
But how do you tell? Because I know people bring pieces to you guys to see if this is a Morton pottery.
Mm-hmm.
How do you kind of tell?
We could tell by the glaze and by the weight and by the style.
Okay. So you are able to tell. Do you want to tell about Jerry Carey's ashtray? Do you remember about that?
Yes, I do.
Because that was an unmarked piece,
That's an unmarked
which you
piece.
discovered.
Yes. I found it in a little antique shop in Indiana. And so pleased. I mean, we were really excited when we found that ashtray. And Jerry was going to McMurray College at the time, and she had them made for her sorority. And so there were very few of them around. And we just felt so proud to be able to pick that one up. But she persuaded them that she needed those ashtrays for her friends, and so they designed them.
That was neat.
McMurray College and the whole business of it.
And it's on display.
Here in the library. Yeah.
Yes, yes. Now, not everybody could have persuaded them to make something special. What was Geraldine Carius's maiden name?
Wrap.
So she was a rap family.
She was the daughter of one of the owners of the pottery.
Yes. And so that's why she got to have an ashtray.
Yeah.
And you found it unmarked,
Yeah.
because I looked at it and I couldn't tell it was
It's not
Morton
marked.
pottery. But you knew it was.
Oh, sure I did.
Yeah, that's right. And I don't know if you remember, but at the time you said to me, if Jerry were alive, do you know what she'd say? She'd say, which one of my sorority sisters gave that up?
Yeah. She would have.
She would have. So you guys have a lot of pieces of Morton pottery. and you have loaned them to the library to display here, but do you have some at home still?
Oh, sure.
The house is loaded.
I bet.
It's
What else do we have?
it's unimaginable. We have 1, 2, 3 cupboards full, and then we have
Well,
pieces
they're not big
hanging on the
cupboards,
wall down the hallway, the whole length of the hallway. And then we have pieces sitting around in the living room and the bedroom, lamps, and you wouldn't believe
We
it.
originally collected glass. Can you believe that?
Oh my goodness. Did you have to give your glass away when you
better
started?
believe, yeah.
So do you guys have some sort of favorite pieces
Of pottery?
of pottery?
Yeah,
Which ones
we
do
do.
you sort of like that are special?
Oh,
Yes. I'd say we do.
what?
I'm thinking.
Yeah.
I'm thinking.
I know the
think we
Christmas
must.
ones.
Yeah, the Christmas was. We have a beer stein that is in the woodland glaze. The woodland glaze is a brown and green spatter over the yellow, and it's the only gold decorated we've ever seen. And you turn it over, and it has WR on the bottom of it.
What does that stand for?
William Rapp.
Ah.
It was his William Rapp's, and it was done especially for him with the gold trim.
Nice. Nice.
And that will probably come to the library one of these times.
Oh,
Where we find that? Was that?
We found it at the mall in Pleasant Hill.
I was thinking it was
Yeah.
right here.
just local.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you think that lots of people here collected Morton pottery?
No.
Not
But
until later.
Several do now.
Yeah, I bet.
But then I think it was more or less for use. For use.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My own family had some that they used all the time.
I've seen the big mixing bowls.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
But it's amazing how much interest is derived from the work we did.
Yeah.
And we're still finding pieces that every
Isn't-
once in a while is I just can't live without, so I buy it off eBay.
So that's pretty cool. You're not only on Facebook, but you're on eBay, you
Oh,
guys.
yes.
That's
I check eBay every day.
That's great. That's really super. I am so glad. Well, I know that you have moved around, and I remember when you moved to Arkansas
Yeah.
for a little bit, but you came back.
Mhm.
What drew you back to Morton?
We never left.
Oh, you never really, in your
No.
spirit, you
we
never
always
left?
had a
No,
place there.
We kept our mobile home,
Yeah.
and we came back and forth whenever we wanted to, not when we couldn't insult our kids.
Oh.
So when we came back to Morton, we had a place to go, and
Sure.
we just went there, and we've stayed there ever since.
Oh, that's great.
That wasn't the plan, but that
No,
was
it
what
wasn't the
happened.
plan.
We
We came back really basically because of our grandchildren.
did you tell it that the house sold the day it went up on Illinois?
Oh, yes. the
Your
And
house
that's-
sold.
that wasn't in the
It went on the
plan.
market at 10 o'clock in the morning, and it was sold by 10 o'clock that night.
What was your number on Illinois?
200.
200.
200.
We're right on the
it's
curve
the
of
one
Illinois.
where you
where
come
it
off
makes that turn.
Jefferson, you would run into, but you have to make that curve around the house. That was our
Sure.
house.
Sold the day that it went on the market.
Yes,
Wow.
Yeah,
which
and we
was not in our plans.
had 30 days to get out.
So don't ever
That's-
think you
that's why
can
we
make
bought
your
the
own
trailer.
plans, because you don't.
That's really,
So we had to have a place to live.
wow.
So that's where we ended
most of our
up.
furniture in storage, and what we needed we took to the trailer,
Yeah,
and that's how we lived for several years.
I bet.
And when we decided to sell the house in Arkansas, we put it up for sale, and
It didn't sell that day.
It didn't.
a
Oh,
contractor
No.
in east of Little Rock bought it, and we bought it contract for deed, and was real good paying the payments the first year, but they started getting farther and farther behind.
yeah.
And we thought, oh, we're going to have to take that house back, and we don't know what we're going to do with it.
Worried.
But we had a telephone call from him just after New Year's, several years after it was on the
Three.
market. And he said, I went to Mississippi over Christmas and New Year's and played on the gambling boat. And I wanted you to know I'm going to send you a sizable check to pay off the house. So we got our house paid off with gambling money.
Our prayers were
Well,
answered one day.
that's quite a
And
deal.
then when we went to close on the deal, Arkansas has a stupid law that they won't allow any lawyers outside of Arkansas to work. So there we were. Our lawyer was here in Morton, and they wouldn't accept him. So the fellow who sold our house was able to find someone who acted as our lawyer, and we don't even know who she was.
Oh my goodness, oh my goodness. Well, I'm glad you're back in Morton. That's really good. Now, you said you came back because of the grandchildren. So tell us, because you not only have grandchildren,
We have
You-
a great grandchild.
you have a great grandchild. So tell us your boys.
Well,
Chuck married.
yeah, Chuck's married. Karis is a bachelor.
Yeah,
He was married, but it didn't work out.
okay. But
And-
tell about the grandkids.
And Chuck's married. His wife works for the psychological department at Melrose Hospital.
Okay.
And they have 2 children, Rachel and Robert. And we had to wait 10 years for our first grandchild.
Oh my.
We didn't think we were ever going to get one.
Burdell kept pestering and pestering them. I said, leave them alone.
Yes,
Now,
yes.
now, where did the great grandchild come from?
He is, where did he come from?
Who had him?
Oh, Rachel.
Rachel
Yeah,
had him.
Rachel.
Okay.
Robert's
Robert's not
not
married.
married.
Okay.
Robert works at,
I think he's our second bachelor.
Okay.
he works at Walmart here in Morton.
Okay. All
And
right.
he and his nephew, Dexter, are so close. When Dexter and Chuck bring him out,
Yeah.
and Robert is there, he goes right to Robert. I mean, the rest of us don't amount to a hill of Eden. Robert's the more.
Robert's the guy. That's
Yeah.
great. So now, who is the great grandchild?
That's Dexter.
That's Dexter. And how old is Dexter now?
Dexter was 2 in January. He'll be 3 in January.
Oh, that's
He's
great.
into terrible 2s. And, he is a wild one. Chuck brings him out, almost once a week,
Yeah.
sometimes
Wonderful.
twice a week for us.
Wonderful.
He's an official babysitter.
Wonderful.
Rachel teaches in East Peoria. And so she brings Dexter to Grandpa when she goes to school, and she picks him up after school and takes him home with her. She lives in Eureka.
That's great.
So Grandpa has become the official babysitter.
That's
And
great.
we never ever thought he would accept that kind of a responsibility.
But he admits now that he's really tired at night.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking, how many years?
Till he gets in
And
school.
who gets involved?
Yeah.
And is it going to be me or Miss Dad? So they're going to have to figure that one out.
That's right. Oh, gosh. So tell me a little bit about what was Morton like when you were courting, when you were young?
Oh my!
Did everybody know everybody?
Oh, yes.
How big was Morton? Just a few hundred, or?
You any idea?
The edge of Morton was on Indiana,
Oh my!
because we lived on Illinois Street.
Sure.
And Indiana's the next. And from there on, it was farmland.
Oh my goodness!
And when we moved on to Illinois Street,
Yeah.
we'd hear cows mooing in the pastures.
That's great.
Yeah, and
We were at the edge of town.
the west side of town, the west side of town stopped just about where the Chinese restaurant is.
Okay.
It was the old Cliftwood Inn.
Oh yes.
Yeah, that was the west edge of town. And the south was, the south was,
Wouldn't have been as far down as Queenwood.
oh no, it was just past Route 98.
Okay. Birchwood.
Yeah, it was just on the other side of Route 98.
Okay.
And north, it was, the north hasn't changed very much. It's still,
Kind of started out there, didn't
Yeah,
it?
yeah.
On what's the name of that? Something Corners.
yeah,
And I can't think of it either right
I
now.
don't know.
But yeah. So everybody kind of knew everybody
Oh
yeah.
yes.
and got along and all that.
Yeah.
But how
And then everybody knew everybody's business.
We had teachers that came. They came from where, Hopedale?
Oh
Someplace.
no, they came from Delavan.
Delavan, that's
Yeah.
right.
And
They were our neighbors,
They
and they
would
said-
always,
We always start out a conversation, well,
who are you related to
yeah,
in Morton? And if the answer was no one, well then we could talk.
but if they were related, well, they were a little
But if
careful.
they were related, they were pretty silent.
And everybody was
they
just
were our
about
next
related,
door-
you
They
know,
were our next door
except-
neighbors.
Except us that drifted in.
They were something else.
Oh, that's fun. That's
They
fun.
finally moved to Arizona and taught Indians in an Indian school in Arizona.
Well, nice.
Yeah.
Well, nice. Now, I know that you have been library supporters for a long time, and you were on the library board. Did you decide to run for library board? Because that's an elected position.
Yes.
And when did you do that?
Oh, Linda.
You weren't retired, were you?
Oh no.
See,
no.
I came in 80, and you had already been on the library
Oh,
board
yeah.
for 20-some years.
Yeah, 20-some years. It just was forever, it seemed.
Yeah.
You were on when it burned. When they had their
That was in
Yeah.
68.
Yeah.
That was 68
Was
then.
that when that was?
Yeah,
Oh,
the library burned in 68.
Yeah.
Somebody put flammable material into the book drop.
Yeah.
Okay.
Threw the book drop into the
Right,
library
right. I remember that.
Yeah.
and burned it down. So what made you think to come to the library board?
I just was interested. I knew several of the people who were on the board, and there was the opening. And I just,
I'm so glad you did. You've been such a help.
I'm glad I did too.
Yeah, that's great. So is there anything you want to comment on Morton now as it's grown? Do you see advantages and disadvantages to that?
Oh yes, there are many advantages. Last,
Yeah, 17,000 almost.
and when we came, it was probably 9,000.
You just knew everybody. I don't
It
know
was,
anything
you know,
else.
just a small hole in the
Yeah.
road.
Sure, sure. I know traffic is
Oh, terrible.
terrible traffic now.
Oh, and when we first came to town, there was hardly any traffic. I mean, you could go downtown and maybe 8 or 10 cars would be
Oh, yeah.
up and down. I
Yeah.
mean,
People walked probably,
yeah,
didn't they?
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
Because everybody was kind of close
yeah.
to downtown and all.
And they rode bicycles.
Oh,
a lot of
yeah.
people rode bicycles.
Did you ride a bicycle?
Oh, yeah.
Did you ride one, Bob?
Oh, yes.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah.
That's super. Wow.
We,
Wow.
we even got up in the morning and rode it before we went
Before we went to work.
to work.
And rode
Yeah,
bicycle
we'd ride an hour before we'd go to work.
exercise. You
Yeah.
guys were always,
Oh yeah, we went out as far as the grain elevators south of town, and
wow.
we were
That was a long ways.
Yeah,
The
we-
one that's still there by the water plant?
Yeah.
Wow.
we're crazy.
That would have been south of Queenwood, yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Oh yeah.
wow. Well, you guys have been wonderful interview subjects, and
Well, thank you.
if there's anything you want to add, just let me know. But I think we really, you have
Okay.
been involved in so many ways. Oh no, I wanted to ask you about how you got to Bob Grimm, because that was your last job, Bots.
Well, I was working at the news office.
Yeah, the
and they got
publishing.
I don't know whether it was called a computer. Anyway, it was a new machine, I'll say,
Mm-hmm.
bookkeeping. And I did real well on it. Knew what I was doing.
Good.
And I heard that Bob Grimm had the machine. And I thought, okay, I'll just go out and
See.
see if they need somebody that can run the machine. I got hired, and I found out that every business has their own setup to the machine.
Uh-oh.
So what I knew didn't work at Bob.
Oh no, Bots.
That was my first lesson of not being too smart at anything. Till you know what's going on.
But now
But
you,
I did learn to run the darn
yeah, because how many years did you work at Bob Grimm?
thing. 18,
That's what I thought. And you retired from there?
yes.
Yeah.
But the office manager was gone. She was on vacation. And the other girl didn't know up from down about the machine.
Oh no.
So, you know, I thought, what have I done? What have I done?
Oh no.
For about 2 weeks
Oh no.
till she got back. And then she was so busy getting her own thing done. I still sat there and wondered, this has got to get better.
Yeah.
Well, when I finally got her attention that I didn't know what I was doing, things got a little better.
I'm glad.
But I did learn how to run the machine.
Well, they kept you 18 years, so that's great.
But I did have my days.
But nice people.
Yes, they were
Very nice
good to me.
people.
They
Yeah.
were good to me.
Yeah,
I can
that's
say
great.
They were good to work
When you
for.
were working for Tazewell Publishing, was it in Morton or was it in Peoria?
No, it was in Morton.
It was in Morton.
What was the building, Burdell?
Well, the building is where
What's there now?
the state representative
Oh yeah, Summer.
Summer,
Yeah.
his office is there, and
Eli's Coffee?
no, it's
Oh, his business.
His business.
Oh, FJT Office Supply
yeah,
is in there, and
And,
Keith Summer now.
yeah, Keith Summer and
Okay, that's where the publishing.
Greedler,
Yeah,
Randy
Greeter,
Greeter.
CPA.
Yeah,
Mhm.
that's-
Okay,
that
so
was-
that's where the
that's where it
Tazewell
was, yeah.
was. Okay, very good, very good. Well, that's been wonderful interviewing you guys. I love it.
She didn't tell you that she was given a chance to go to Ohio
Oh,
to learn the new machine. What was it?
Columbus.
Ohio, to learn.
Was
the
it
new
National
machine.
Cash Register Company, NCR?
From Grimm's. That was from Grimm's.
Yeah, from Grimm.
From Grimm's. Good for you.
Because
That was the machine that I was telling you.
yeah,
Wow.
Forgot about that.
she went there the same day that I left for Malaysia,
Oh,
and
where did you leave from?
I went to Malaysia
When did you go to Malaysia?
in 1967.
60.
Why did you go there?
I was an exchange teacher
And how long were you there?
for the
Whole
full
summer?
summer.
Wow.
Too long.
Yeah, it was too
You
long.
missed him. Yeah, I bet
It
you
was.
did. Oh,
It didn't seem like it when he did it.
yeah.
In fact, it didn't.
In fact, I was surprised.
That you ever got it.
It was a nationwide competition,
Wow.
and there were 3 of us that were selected to go to Malaysia.
Wonderful.
And it was funny.
And he had the papers, and he said, well, shall I fill them out? I said, yeah, fill them out. I
we
didn't
thought, hey, you have the ghost of a chance.
have a clue that
And we wound up a white guy from Wisconsin, a music teacher, and myself, and a Negro woman from New York, and she was an English teacher.
Oh,
And here are 2 white men traveling with a black woman. And if we didn't have fun on that trip,
I bet you
it
did.
was a riot.
And did you teach when you once got
Yes,
out over
yeah.
there?
Yeah.
Who did you teach? High school, college,
It was
grade
high
school?
school.
It was high
Yeah,
school.
high school.
And so she taught English.
We weren't in the same school.
Oh,
No,
okay.
She was in. Well, he was in Kuala Lumpur, and she was in
A smaller town,
a
some.
smaller town.
And you, where did you end up?
I ended up at the end of the peninsula in Johor Bahru.
Oh my,
It's right across the straits from Singapore.
for goodness
We
sake.
spent every Saturday in Singapore.
Is that
Yeah.
something? Did you like Singapore?
Oh, it was wonderful. The lady of the house where I lived, she had her hair done every Saturday, and
Oh, my.
we would go across the causeway, and while she was getting her hair done, the fellow that I lived with would take me sightseeing and buying souvenirs and stuff.
Oh my goodness.
I had 2 or 3 neckties. I don't know what happened to my neckties from Malaysia, but
Wow.
that
That was what an
It was a
honor.
fun experience.
I know you've gotten many, many more honors, and one of them was to be Marshal, Parade Marshal of the Pumpkin Festival. What year was that?
That was 1980,
Wow.
the year I retired.
Yes, yes. Bots, did you get to ride with him in the car? So you guys got to ride together for that. Oh, that's great. Well, that's a great honor. And then you rode again. Did you ride again when the
Oh, yeah.
50th
Yeah,
came and they had the bus with the former parade marshals on it?
yeah.
I think so. Did you ride in that? I think you did.
I think I did.
I think you
I think
did.
you
I
did.
think I did.
Yeah.
And
Not sure.
I'm going to be in the parade this year.
What are you going to do in the parade this
I'm
year?
going to ride on the Jefferson School float.
Yay, because it's a big anniversary for Jefferson School.
90th anniversary.
90th anniversary
So
for
they've asked me to be part of it.
marvelous.
So I'm gonna jump on the float. And I
'Cause-
don't know what's going to happen.
Because that was your first teaching job
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
at Jefferson School.
And, but you won't believe this. they didn't have a room for me to teach in.
When you went there?
No. So I taught on the stage in the gym with the curtain closed. And so I had competition from the kids in gym class
Having,
while I was trying to teach.
oh, Burdell,
On the
what an
stage.
introduction. What an introduction.
The second year, they cleared a spot out in a basement room. It was a small room, not any bigger than this.
But it was nice after the stage.
I bet.
After the stage, it was pretty nice.
Oh my.
But my third year, they moved me up on second floor, and I stayed there for the rest of the time I was at Sheffield.
Oh my goodness. How big was your class when you went? Just approximately.
About 30.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, that would have been 1950.
1950.
See, that would have been the baby boomers. That would have been the kids
Oh,
in
yes.
your class
Yeah.
would have been some
Yeah.
World War II
Right.
kids. Oh, that's great. Oh, super. Anything you want to add at the end? Still glad to be living in Morton?
What's
Oh,
that?
yes.
Still glad to be
Yeah.
living in Morton?
Yeah, I wouldn't
That was the
live
best
anyplace
news
else.
we ever had.
Yeah, it's good, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, we're just thrilled to have you with us.
Well, thank you.
Thank you for interviewing with us.